So I think because the first sentence establishes that this is about technology, um, and and it's about I think that modes and processes would just be less precise. That this is actually about the technical means of creating images of the brain
Amazing. Yeah.
rather than the more general process or way that you might do that. So we might use any of these words very loosely, but techniques is the one that fits best. And I think this is why this one is hard, because the options there, processes and modes kind of work, but techniques is about technology. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Ye-
so that wouldn't work.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Hideous means ugly. So why
yeah.
this one is not correct? I mean, so you see here.
It's about, I guess this is about what what is revealed or concealed by different imaging processes, by different techniques using technology to see the brain.
No,
So
you see the question is
we've also got from afterwards, we've got that preposition there. Um, and so it makes sense that things are hidden from
hidden
rather
from
rather
exactly.
than are experienced as
Mm,
hideous to the public or hideous for the public, hidden from public. Makes the most sense in the full context. Hmm. So
ex
the previous sentence is about how brain imaging, like monitoring what's happening in the brain using technology, shows which parts of the brain are doing things for different events, but
which part?
it doesn't show us experiences. So we can't see how people experience the world
Mm,
while those events are happening. What we can see the active parts of the brain, um, but we can't read people's minds just because we can map the brain.
exactly. And also
Yeah.
this one's
Mm. I think it's although, yeah. So there is a sense in which each of us knows what we are thinking. So that's a positive. Each of us knows what we're thinking, although we may not always have a good way of verbalizing it. So it's a negative. So there's a contrast there. Um, this is the case, although this is also the case. So it's marking a contrast.
speaking here, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So in this case, verbalizing really means being able to say it or possibly say or write it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, why we cannot say therefore?
It doesn't follow from knowing what we're thinking. If we use therefore, whatever comes after that implies that one thing follows logically from the other. Whereas there's actually a contrast here. So you might expect that because we know what we're thinking, we are able to verbalize it, but they're actually pointing out a contrast. We
So
know what we're thinking, but we don't actually know
so
how to say it.
for example, is
I
it
think this is for each of us individually. We may not always have a good way of verbalizing it. So what they're saying is, I think what they're saying is that there's a gap or a distance between what we're able to think and what we're able to say
mm,
about ourselves. And I think we have an experience of this in situations where we kind of you've forgotten the name of something.
yeah,
You might even be visualizing it. Um, I know exactly what that thing is, but the name's
we
not
cannot
coming to me.
verbalize it. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
it.
so it's a bit like that, but I think for thought in general, there's a bit of a gap. Mm. So overt is like visible, or an action that you can see or that has a visible effect. So covert would be the opposite, which would be like a hidden action. So we don't know what someone's thinking if they secretly make a signal to somebody else that we can't see. Um,
So okay, let me show you the meaning of overt. So maybe I made a mistake. Overt is done actually, or shown openly.
Yeah, openly. So done in visibility or done so that it can be observed, not hidden.
Oh, not hidden. Okay, yeah, I got it. But
Yeah.
let me also show you this example. So, what is the meaning of overt criticism? It means that
Mhm.
someone openly criticized me, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
So, yeah, that it's making something explicit rather than perhaps,
Publicly, somehow.
yeah, or at least in a way that someone can observe it. It doesn't need to be the public.
Mm.
Yeah. In this case, it would be knowing what someone else is thinking. They show that to us by acting in certain ways, saying things, acting, or expressing their feelings in another way. And then finally, from imagining what we ourselves would be thinking, and it has to be in similar circumstances. That's the preposition for circumstances there.
So why we cannot use, for example,
Um, that would of would imply that it was thinking about similar circumstances. But in is
in this situation or
of
circumstance?
implies that you're outside of the circumstances. In implies that they're affecting you and this is what you'd be thinking while that was happening to
Yeah,
you.
great. I
So,
got it.
mm,
Amazing.